has begun. Free agency is now legal. I mean, you can now, there's no tampering or anything like that to worry about between players and teams. So I was kind of thinking, I looked through the list of certain guys that were kept and let go, certain guys that were free agents, but that were somehow made it a way to stay back with their team. The biggest one to me, biggest surprise to me, my favorite additions, I think, were the tight end acquisitions from Bill Belichick. I talked about him last week on our show when we did the little Tinder matchmaker kind of deal. I said Bill Belichick loves tight ends. Well, he doesn't just like one at a time. He likes two at a time, like a normal man would. So I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith and having the addition as well as Hunter Henry paired over there at tight end. It's going to be awesome to see. Is it going to be at all similar to what we saw with Aaron Hernandez and Gronk at one time? Or is this just kind of a lesser version? What do you think of these two guys?
I think it's a lesser version, honestly. Like, I love Jonnu Smith. I love Hunter Henry. I don't think Hunter Henry can stay healthy enough throughout a full season is my issue. But if he's splitting reps with Jonnu, there's a chance the guy can stay healthy. But it's not going to be your Aaron Hernandez Gronk situation that you had, 8 years ago now? 6
Yeah, those
ago?
two were supreme athletes.
Yeah,
course.
like
Gronk's
that was
one
a
of the best
great
of all time.
combo. Like, you're not going to have that combo. But you got a great situation for Cam Newton to rely on, and also a great situation for the run game there to really to just create, right? That's the kind of the issue too, is they don't have a run game. Now they got some pass blocking tight ends who can really make the field open as well.
Do you have an acquisition so far that stood out to you that you're excited to see go to a new team?
I was looking at all of the transactions today, and the one thing that stood out to me was the San Francisco 49ers. Their Trent Brown signing, right?
Trent Williams.
Trent Williams. Gosh,
Yep, back with the Niners again.
You know who I mean. Trent Williams, first off, that huge contract alone, like, you're making star lineman players feel, like their money's nothing. So props to that guy. I'm glad the Chiefs were in the fight, but I'm glad we didn't pay that kind of money in those years. And then who signed today on the right side?
On the right side.
Who
You're
was
talking about from Kansas City?
No, not for KC, not
On
Cowboys.
the right side for the 49ers.
49ers. So,
about.
I'm sorry, it wasn't 49ers. Yeah, it was, because Alex Mack was supposed to be with Arizona, and then he got parched off. So I think he's with the 49ers, and then they got somebody else today that just dominated their line. I can't remember
You
the
have to
freaking
fill me
guy.
in on that one, Tanner, and that if that's the
You
case.
come back to me here in a minute. I'm going to find the name.
Jason, in the meantime, tell me your favorite acquisition so far.
Yeah, dude, before I get to that, I did want to touch on Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry because, you took my favorite signings, so I did want to touch on it a little bit. So I was kind of, I didn't have a lot of feelings when they re-signed Cam Newton out there in New England, but when they signed these two tight ends, I mean, it kind of made sense to me because we all know that Cam Newton, I mean, his arm is not completely dead yet, but it's somewhat dead to where he can't throw the deep ball consistently, and he also can't check it down very well either. So I think they're just trying to build around Cam Newton. They're trying to accommodate him for what he does best, which is just throw that intermediate pass to those tight ends. And so I did like those two signings. I think they were my favorite. But as far as relevance, I mean, I got to go with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they re-signed Rob Gronkowski, 1 year, $10 million. The guy somehow, some way, is still playing at a high level. And the Bucs are just going to put him in bubble wrap until week 14 or 15 and just unleash him again when it comes time to go to the playoffs. And
That they will.
when you're a champion like the Bucs, you got to do what you got to do. You got to bring all the guys back, or as many guys back as you can. And so, I mean, yeah, Gronk, I mean, he's no spring chicken, but I think from the Bucs' perspective, they did the right thing to bring him back because, he's a tried and true champion. The other guy is Shaq Barrett. The Bucs gave him 4 years, $72 million. And we all know in the NFL, the name of the game is to get to the quarterback. And they won a Super Bowl with Shaq Barrett. And as much as I don't want to see that ever happen again, it did happen. And so the Bucs, another guy you got to bring back into the fold. So those were two really good signings for me, Gronk and Shaq Barrett.
And they just re-signed Suckup today, too. That was pretty huge for the Bucs.
Yeah, I don't care about Ryan Suckup.
Ryan Suckup.
Hey,
That's what we're going.
Twins them, right?
We're excited about Ryan Suckup.
Hey, did you guys see, just now, I just hopped on Twitter here because it was on ESPN, but Patrick Peterson reaches an agreement with the Vikings, guys, and then Kyle Van Noy goes back to the Patriots.
Ooh, he could have been my favorite Patrick, not named Mahomes, but he decided not to come to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
That's right.
Still a bit of a stretch over there.
Not going to be my favorite.
Curtis Samuel reunites with Washington and Terry
Okay,
McLaurin.
I like
so
that. I like that addition.
That's not
to
a bad
to
pair right
Washington.
there for Mr. Fitzpatrick. So
T.Y. Hilton's still available too, so I'm curious. I
He
picked
is.
him to go to KC, as a matter of fact. So we'll see if that pans out in some kind of way down the stretch here. I was actually staying up a little bit late last night doing a little research and came across some information regarding Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for the Houston Texans. And it's very interesting. Suddenly, there was a case that has come out from a lawyer who was actually on Instagram that posted a statement. And basically, it's along the lines of a sexual assault allegation at a massage parlor. Reminded me a little bit of something that happened to Peyton Manning one time, Tanner. Do you remember that scandal at all with Peyton?
I don't actually can't recall that.
Yeah, it was something that happened about 20 years ago from now, but some kind of a hint towards something sexual happening at a parlor. Apparently, Peyton Manning at the time exposed himself to the massage therapist, and it was a big ordeal at the time. But that was a long time ago, and of course, Peyton Manning being Peyton Manning, it was swept under the rug. But Deshaun Watson's issue here is interesting, considering the guy does not want to be in Houston. He's actually not returning phone calls from the team. The timing of this is very interesting when this came out. This apparently happened in March of 2020, and the massage therapist runs this business out of her home. It is according to what I've read in the case. Apparently, some of the quotes. About 25 minutes into the massage, and despite attempting to be appreciative and accommodating to his conduct, due to Watson's comments and behavior, the plaintiff began to feel extremely uncomfortable. It became apparent that Watson wanted a massage for only one reason: sex. Scared, a bit confused, and not wanting to upset the much bigger and athletic Watson, plaintiff did not know what to do. She did not want to confront Watson because she feared for her safety or possible retaliation or injury to her fledgling business. At the same time, she wanted the massage to be over and wanted him out of there. So at that point, he apparently exposed himself, and it was apparently said that he had touched her with his groin on the hand, apparently, is what I've looked into. I do think that this is interesting to hear this kind of case come out, and as far as the relationship between former owner Bob McNair of the Houston Texans being neighbors with this specific lawyer here, and also a lawyer who in the past has actually abdicated for keeping Johnny Football in Texas. So the same lawyer here that's going on about sexual assaults in a massage parlor wanted Johnny Manziel to be kept in Texas to go to the Houston Texans at one point. So I don't know if he's a guy that you want to trust with his ideas, but did you read some of the things at all about how the woman was affected at all by the damages on the report, Tanner?
I did not. I did not get a chance to actually read through the full report.
Yeah, it says that she's suffered from conscious physical and mental pain and suffering, physical impairment, past and future, loss of enjoyment of life and peace of mind, reasonable and necessary medical counseling, psychiatric and therapeutic related expenses, loss of earnings and earning capacity, and such other damages will be shown at the trial, apparently. So this is an interesting case. Do you have any quick thoughts right here on this?
So real quick too, there's actually a second lawsuit that has been filed, and the incident took place back on August 28, 2020. And according to Busby's Instagram, there are now a total of 4 cases against Watson, and only 2 lawsuits have been filed so far. I kind of want to see more detail, more evidence unfold before I make any case. It's kind of odd. It honestly is kind of odd that this is coming up during such a controversial time with Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson. But at the same time, let's get some facts in here. Let's figure out Is there more, I guess, reports? Is there more stuff going on? Like, we need to see more here.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, the way I look at this is that's very unfortunate that the Houston Texans would try to frame a player that doesn't want to play for them. I mean, that's going to the lowest of the low. And, I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. But to me, the first thing I look at is that Deshaun Watson has a defamation of character case that he should be filing immediately against the Houston Texans, because make no mistake, we have no evidence. There is no evidence out there right now. This is a he said, she said. There's no video evidence. There's no photos. There's nothing. This is a total frame job by the Houston Texans. And if I were Deshaun Watson's agent, I would be filing that lawsuit immediately for defamation of character. We all know that Deshaun Watson does not want to play there. He never wanted to play there after they did away with his only weapon, which was DeAndre Hopkins. Why would anybody want to play there? And we have a little thing in this country called due process, and what happens is you are innocent until you're proven guilty. Mm-hmm. And so we all know on this show, and I'm sure much of our audience knows, that the Houston Texans are a trash organization. It's been all over the news. Everybody knows it, even ESPN. And I honestly just hope that somebody eventually buys out the team and moves it to, I don't know, St. Louis or some random city. Just get them the hell out of there, because this frame job that they're trying to do on an elite player, let me make myself clear, this is an elite quarterback in the NFL that they are trying to bring him down and ruin his career after he has already given his whole life to the city. And Houston's a trash organization. I know you guys all probably agree with me on that, but let me be clear. This is not like a political discussion. You are innocent until proven guilty. And to me, they're attacking an elite quarterback who is an African-American male in the NFL. And it's disgusting to me. And I can't believe that we have to talk about it on this show. But you guys can tell me if you disagree or agree with me. But to me, this is a disgusting topic that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
I think that it's interesting, though, that the attorney put out an Instagram post to go out there and garner attention to this through the media.
That's the thing that bothers me the most.
And here's the thing that also I think is kind of lost in our discussion right now, is that apparently the attorney tried to get Deshaun to settle out of court for a lump sum on behalf of his client. So he tried to first go out of court with this, but then Deshaun would not bite on it, but yet it's not about the money apparently. So it's something where they came to him with something, and then they go, basically, oh, if you just pay us up, then we won't bring this out. And Deshaun goes, no, that's not going to happen. Because this is not what happened. This is not the truth of the matter of these things that came out. And, this looks like kind of a witch hunt. We remember with Tyreek Hill and the way things unfolded with him as well, when Tyreek Hill actually did plead guilty at one point while he was in college. And it actually ended up benefiting him later on as time went on. He did get drafted to the NFL, of course, by the Chiefs. But we found out more things, more information as time went on, that much of what was said and done within the Tyreek Hill case before and even with the team was inaccurate. And he was framed basically by a girlfriend over abusive allegations with not only his child but also her as well. And so I think it's one of those situations here with Watson. You're having like potentially a team looking for a way to get him involved and find a way to get attention, negative attention brought to his life. But for what? What is the team going to gain from this? This doesn't improve his stock in a trade market. And he he might not play this entire year. I could see him sitting out.
Yeah.
Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast.
Welcome on in, everybody, to the Sports Buffoons. This is yours truly, Tanner, taking it over today as Mike and Jason are both away. They had a cool event down in Topeka at a brewery to meet to listen to some NFL officials as well. So I'm excited to get this going today, and hope you enjoy the show. We got a great lineup today. Thursday, March 24th. We have NCAA to talk about. We're going to talk about some NFL. We'll talk about some Royals, and then we'll finish up with some NBA. We got on the NBA. Guys, don't forget to follow us, download or subscribe or whatever you want to do. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Amazon Music, YouTube, Twitch. Guys, don't forget to give us a follow and channel as well. And also, we are also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So please check us out, and that's all at Sports Buffoons. So let's get into it, guys. So we just wrapped up our first weekend of NCAA, the tournament, right? It was a fun tournament. We had some upsets. We have some Cinderella stories still playing out, a.k.a. Loyola Chicago still going. Oral Roberts upsetting my bracket first, unfortunately, and then Loyola did it with Ohio State losing to Oral Roberts. And then also the Illinois losing to Loyola. And that completely just killed my bracket. It did not last past the first technically weekend if it's a normal tournament, right? Because we usually start on Thursday. I wasn't much of a fan of it starting on a Saturday, mainly because I had to work during it, versus Thursday while I'm working on my other job. So, but it was an exciting time going down. I don't know if you guys had any favorite parts for that tournament. I was actually really impressed with Texas Tech actually playing ball and actually playing really well for a while. I laughed at Texas as a Big 12 fan. I laughed at Texas losing to Abilene Christian, and I mean, it just sums up what Texas season is. They win the Big 12 tournament, then they lose first round. I think there's too much ego in that. As far as our buddies in the Jayhawk world, which is my team, KU, we finished about how we expected. I knew we were going to lose to USC, and I talked about it last week. I think it was last week we talked about it. The thing that bothers me the most is we knew we couldn't play down low, right? We knew that was coming. McCormick was not going to get over that 7-footer. Game was taken out of context. What bothered me the most is we could not prep enough for shooting. We shot, I believe it was 29% the whole entire game from the field. We should not be anywhere near that. Actually, it might have been 19. I think it was 19. And it was bad. Like, we all felt it. So I didn't personally watch the game live. I had to come home and watch it, but I was following my phone. And it was probably one of the games I'm okay actually missing. Now, we leave some questions, right? So Bill Self does have some questions to ask. Hey, what do we got to do next year to get back to where we usually are, right? That 1 seed, that 2 seed, really make a push in the tournament. We got to get big guys. We got to get big guys. We got to get fast guys. And we got to get some shooters, right? Now, it'll be interesting to see if Marcus Garrett comes back. Because they do have that option this year to be able to come back because there's no technical senior for the athletes this year. So I wouldn't mind him coming back. He performed really well the whole entire year. He's really improved since his second year here. I'd be okay with that. I'd like to see Bill go out and get some transfers. That North Carolina center, I'd be okay taking him in. I believe he's a 7-footer as well, so he'd help us down low. But I know we got some good recruits coming in. We just got to get there. Now, recap KU season real quick too, guys, before we move on to anything else. I am super proud of the Jayhawks. Yes, it was a down year. I mean, when I say down year, I don't mean like K-State bad. When I say down year, I don't mean Kentucky bad, right? I'm talking down year as in we finished as a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. We never left the top 25 all year long despite our run of losses, which is really impressive. It's probably Bill Self's best coaching year. It's weird to say, right, as a losing to USC squad. It's a great Bill Self story right here. And the guy had also the most top 25 wins as well this year. I mean, he played some tough teams. They really did. And you got through Gonzaga. Definitely that didn't turn out as we want, but we played really hard as a young team, and we showed young. But the fact that Bill Self was able to come away put us in a position to possibly we were at, believe it or not, guys, possibly going to win that Big 12 conference, and boy, would that take some people off. So, Bill Self showed why he is a Hall of Fame coach, why he is one of the greatest. The guy continues to put KU in those situations that want to be put in, and I love it. I wouldn't trade this coach away for anybody, and I hope you guys understand that. Bill Self gets it. The guy's good. He just, I mean, we got recruiting to do. We got some fixing to do. He knows this. He's aware of it. That's the biggest key to this. This is the biggest key. And I can't wait next year to see Bill Self, see what he brings to the table, right? We got a whole new year coming up. And we're going to be in that conversation again as a potential top 3 seed, no matter what happens. So stay tuned, stay excited. So tournament, right, guys? So the tournament keeps going on. Obviously, my team's out. Illinois is out, who I picked to win. So who am I rooting for? Well, really, I'm rooting for. I like Oral Roberts, but sorry, Earl, I want Loyola University of Chicago, the Ramblers. I want to see them pull some more victories out. I think it'd be great. 2018, they went to the Final Four. Why not 2020, 2021? Let's go to the Final Four again. I think if they come away with that conference, it would be spectacular. It'd be exciting. It's great for NCAA. And I think it would truly be amazing to see this. And I'm rooting for these guys. I'm rooting for Oral Roberts up on the top bracket as well. And, how cool would that be to see Oral Roberts, Loyola in the Final Four? Now, some of you guys are probably like, no, we want the better teams. Well, you don't get to the Final Four being a bad team. So there's that. I'm rooting for Loyola. But if I'm going to make a new prediction of a title winner, guys, it has to be the Zags. They blew apart their teams they need to blow apart. Their first 2 rounds were dominant. They truly, truly, truly look like the best team in NCAA right now. And I couldn't be more impressed. Baylor looked pretty good. Michigan looked all right. I'm not a fan of them. But, I mean, Gonzaga, nobody's going to beat them. Iowa's out. Iowa got kicked out. KU's out, so there's 2 and 3 in your bracket. So why not the 1 seed? The 1 seed has a clear path, I think, right now. And look for the Zags to continue to dominate teams. Until maybe they get to the Final Four and they play maybe a Florida State or a Michigan, we'll have to see what comes up. Michigan did just beat LSU, so we'll have to see how that. I am predicting that Gonzaga goes undefeated and they win the NCAA tournament. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd like to hear if you're busted, who's your new pick? Who's your new Final Four? As we start entering next week on Saturday for the new round of games. So, MLB season, guys. We are 8 days away from opening day. How crazy is that? February and January blew by. We are 8 days away from a regular season of MLB baseball, and nonetheless the Royals. So I was reading the Athletic today. They came out with a really cool article. As I pull that back up here, Alec Lewis with the Athletic was the roster projections for opening day. And the one player that did stand out that he did notify stood out to me when we were going through this was Nicky Lopez. So right now, catcher Salvador Perez, Cam Gallagher, sounds about right? I wouldn't trade any of those two. Sounds exactly what it should be. Infielders, here's where it gets tricky. Carlos Santana at first base. Yep, probably DH most likely, but it's all right. Whit Merrifield at second. I love that. I'd rather have Whit there. I think he performs really well. Alberto Mondesi, who is not on the injury report and could blow up this year. He is at shortstop, of course. Hanser Alberto, who I talked about early in Royals talk a few weeks ago when Mike brought it up, third base. And then pinch hitters or replacements at first base when Carlos Santana go is Ryan McBroom and Ryan O'Hearn. Great. I love that depth there. I am perfectly okay with that. I think those that would be a great infield right there. And you also got to think, right? You got Nicky Lopez there. Nicky Lopez can always fill in for a Whit Merrifield or a Mondesi. Feeling that Mondesi is going to get some time off. He's going to get some rest days, as you could say, hopefully to prevent some injuries and keep, hopefully have a really blow up year. So, but Lopez, I just don't think the bat's there to put him in the lineup. That's interesting, and I'm sure you guys see that too. I just don't think it's there. It's just not powerful enough, but he is a heck of a fielder, and I think he could provide some great depth for this Royals team. And for myself, I'm looking middle of the pack. I don't think we're going to beat the Twins and the White Sox to take the division. May not be a wild card, but I like our progress. We'll head to the outfield real quick. Benintendi at left field. Michael Taylor silently having a great spring training. Center field, Hunter Dozier, who just signed that that great contract. He's in right field. He could be in and out of first base as well and DH. And then old friend Gerard Dyson sitting there on the bench. I could see him being on the bench, so he'd be a great backup. And I'd be okay with that. And then Bubba Starling, who has had some great games in spring training, I don't think he stays on the team. He's not even on the 40-man roster right now, so they'd have to clear room. I think they finish out spring training, let him go. If he wants a minor league contract, maybe sign him, but I doubt we do that even. And then designated hitter as well, Jorge Soler. Bomb Soler is what I call him, so that's going to be pretty great. Now, we get into the rough part, right? Pitching. So you hear Mike talk about it all the time. He wants pitching. This is our issue with pitching right now. Brad Keller, who hasn't had a great spring training. Mike Minor is all right. Brady Sr., who performed really well last year. Let's see what momentum he carries forward in actual big league games. Danny Duffy, who sounds like he's on a comeback, you could say. He's been a little roughy the last couple of years. And as our fourth starter, I feel that he could really potentially be a solid fourth guy, if not maybe move down a little bit, right, to that third, as we maybe shift Mike Minor or Brad Keller around. Now, I have a fifth one confirmed, but obviously our fifth one here is Chris Bubic and Jacob Junis, right? And I like Junis more. But we'll have to see. Right? Dayton Moore is unsure what the fifth starter is going to be. We don't have to really worry about it right now, and I'm okay with that. So, good bullpen depth for now for our first four starters. We probably won't need them until mid-April, maybe end of April. I'm not too worried about that. But in the bullpen right now, you got Junis, Jesse Hahn, Irvin Santana. Right, we got him back. Josh Staumont, love that guy. Scott Barlow, Wade Davis, Greg Cullen, Kyle Zimmer. Yeah, that guy's got a lot to prove this year. A lot to prove for Kyle Zimmer this year. And Jake Brents. Now, I'm not a big fan of our bullpen. I'm not hugely high on our starters. I know we got a lot of prospects down low that are, for maybe in the next year, the year after that. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm excited for the season to start. I'm excited mainly because we get a chance to actually go watch in the K now, minimum fans. We get to see our Royals play ball. And it sounds like we got a potential winning team here. So I'd be perfectly okay with a great Royals squad. Hopefully we see a little Bobby Witt come after the All-Star break. There's a chance of that. And I think it all depends on the record. If we're in a chance to maybe push for that wild card or that division lead, we get Bobby Witt up, or maybe we just keep him down and keep what we got going. So we'll have to see as we progress and we get closer to the All-Star break on that. And then, as everybody already heard here, we did sign Salvador Perez, probably most of our favorite guy on the Royals right now. since Alex Gordon left, especially. He did get his extension, richest deal in the Royals' history. 4-year extension, $82 million. He is 31 years old, but he is such an impact player. He has 5 gold gloves, and he's a leader for our future pitchers. This guy is going to be one of the key for those young guys that come up to the major level. If they have Salvador Perez behind the plate, they're going to be learning just fine. Look at Yadier Molina with St. Louis. I'm cool with this guy. I'm cool with this extension. I love this extension. I was a big fan of Alex Gordon's, but it was great to see him. I love the Salvador Perez. I feel like he has so much more to give to the Royals. And that was Dayton Moore's perspective when he was talking on 610. Is this guy loves baseball. Not just loves baseball. He lives for baseball. He's going to be one of the guys that we probably hear out as a coach after he's done, maybe a year or two after. So, great signing. Huge on this. Like I said, I can't express it enough. This is going to be huge for our success and maybe a potential World Series here in a couple of years. So, proud on that. Give us your agree that Perez is a huge signing, or if you liked it, if you didn't like it, send us a tweet, comment on our Facebook. All right, guys. So, in that term, let's switch a little NFL. Man, oh man, how exciting was that was free agency, right? So we had a couple good weeks of free agency. There's a lot of teams that lost key players. There's a lot of teams that built up and really proved themselves is how I think of it. And I'm super happy to see maybe a little bit more diversity in the league between teams that were really bad the last 3 years. They have a chance to get maybe a comeback team like New England. So we'll have to see exactly what happens. But I want to give you my winners so far. So the teams that I think that won free agency so far, right, is New England. They actually spent money. They haven't done that, I think, since like 98, I think I read, which is crazy. But, I mean, you had Tom Brady, and you had a lot of key players return, so you didn't need to. But now they are needing some players, and they bolstered up. Love it. The Arizona Cardinals, I love the signings. J.J. Watt, you got A.J. Green, who has the potential to make a comeback for himself. I felt like the Bengals organization kind of gave up on him. He gave up on the Bengals. Now he has a new start. It's a fresh start. He's on the opposite side of DeAndre Hopkins. And then you got little Kyler Murray. I love this. I think Arizona had a great offseason on that. The New York Giants. Now, let me tell you what. I didn't pick the Giants very much. I picked them a couple times during the pick'ems last year. I think that both New York teams technically did win in this free agency. They really did win out and sign players and try to help their quarterback out, sign to help their defense out, which I think is always key. Joe Judge for the Giants, though, really, I think, got some great players on his mind with his signings, and it blows my mind that it takes so long to be able to do this. But he lost Saquon early in the year. The guy still almost came away with the division. I secretly think the New York Giants win their division over Dallas and Washington. Like, Washington had a great offseason. Got Dak. Dak will be back healthy. They have a great squad still. The Giants surprised some people this year with that, and we'll have to see. But I think the most winning team that happened in free agency is Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Bucks. They've pretty much returned everybody outside Antonio Brown, I feel like, right now. Antonio Brown's talked with the Chiefs, talked with the Seahawks. The guy could pretty much go anywhere he wants. But Tampa Bay's returned every starter. They just signed Sue, I think today or yesterday, for a 1-year deal. They're making it work. They're running it back, and I think they are honestly probably the Super Bowl favorites to win it this year over the Chiefs. And as you saw, though, on the winners that I picked out of those 4, none of them were AFC. I don't think anybody dethrones the Chiefs yet. I don't think there's enough moves. New England maybe made a potential impact on their team to be able to get back to that point. I don't think they do. I don't think it's enough. You got to go through the Bills, Josh Allen, and that squad, and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I mean, that team's only going to be improved come next year, or come when the season starts. So I'm not too worried about that part. Cleveland, yeah, I think they'll be better. They got a few guys that they're looking into, but I don't know. I think it's really hard to play for the Browns still. I think it's really hard to play for the Browns. I'm not really too impressed with the AFC. So my losers, and then we always think they're losers. The Las Vegas Raiders. They lost most of their line, where Derek Carr was pretty much all day. The only reason they won certain games is because they could sit back all day. They lost some defensive guys, some weapons. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with the draft. But they got to get some protection. They're kind of in the Chiefs boat on protection, but I think they're even more, as we did sign a few linemen. The Ravens lost some key defensive guys up to New York, especially with that Giants and the Jets. So we got to see how they replace those guys. Now they have great depth. We'll have to see what happens. They lost Mark Ingram, which isn't a big deal. They cut him early, the playoffs. So that shouldn't be a huge deal. Haven't really heard any free agent signings for the wide receiver position, which is what they really need. But their wide receivers coach left to be in Houston, and Chiefs had that same situations when he was our wide receivers coach, right? In our offense, he left, and all of a sudden our wide receivers are great. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe that helps Hollywood Brown out over there for Lamar Jackson as well. And then the Bears, Bears. Chicago. What? Andy Dalton. You offer all that for Russell Wilson, and you end up with Andy Dalton. Alex Smith is there. Matt Nagy's from Alex Smith. Go get Alex Smith. I guarantee you win some. It's a big disappointment. They did sign Damian Williams today. I'm glad to see he's been able to get a lot of carries over there with that Bears offense. Matt Nagy, I believe Matt Nagy likes him by far, and he's a great running back. I'm excited to see him come back, and he's going to get the reps. He's going to be, I think, honestly, a high-profile fantasy option this year. But Andy Dalton, come on. Disappointing. I am truly disappointed in the Bears. There's so many other quarterbacks that I probably would have gone with, and you're sticking with Andy Dalton. But hey, that's what you get part of being the losers, right? So Matt Nagy may not have his job come next year, or I guess after next year. If it goes his way, I think it's going to go, which is in the tank. So Super Bowl favorites, like I talked about, Tampa Bay, right? I believe Tampa Bay is in great stance to repeat. I think the Chiefs are a great stance to still get back to it, to where we're back to the Super Bowl. I mean, let's go 3 times in a row. We win 2, lose 1. I'd be okay with that. So the Chiefs, guys. The Chiefs actually have had a good free agency. Now, there's a lot of talk today because Melvin Ingram ended up leaving without a contract today. A lot of Chiefs fans are upset on Twitter. All I got to say is, do you remember this? You remember this champion hat? You remember that 2 years ago? Guys, calm down. Let Veach do his stuff, right? We're not trying to overpay. He's made some great decisions. He's very wise. He understands what has to happen, what needs to happen, right? So he did get Kyle Long, Joe Thuney, pretty solid contract deals, I believe, in really those line. And there's a chance, right? We still have that left tackle position. We don't really know what's going to happen right now. We're going to make Niang, maybe that's what he's been doing all offseason. Reed call him up and say, hey, I need you prepared for both sides, left and right. Just, you never know. Or we'll have to see. We're going to get somebody through the draft. There's some good tackles early in the draft that could be sitting at our pick. So we'll have to see exactly what happens. I love the Taco Charlton signing. We're going to sign Marcus Kemp. We released Eric Fisher, and Mitchell Schwartz. And I heard Mitchell Schwartz possibly might be coming back at some depth. If he's healthy and able to play and help boost the line in any way, I'm okay with that, as long as it's a team-friendly deal. All right, if we're not signing other players, we don't need to sign him for a huge deal. I mean, honestly, I'm not too concerned right now. I'm not concerned really anywhere on the Chiefs. We got some line help, which is what we all asked for. You guys all want it right out of the Super Bowl. What do we want? We want offensive line. Well, here you go. And now you guys are all mad because we're not signing Melvin Ingram. Potentially, he's going to go off and check the market. Dude, the guy can go get paid somewhere big. Like, if somebody offers a bigger contract, there's no reason. Like, it's not just because we have Patrick Mahomes. It's not because we got Andy Reid. Some guys are okay with those small deals. But a lot of those guys that hit the free agency are supposed to get paid long term, protect themselves financially in case something does happen. You know, J.J. Watt injuries. You know, that may not have always, or players other than J.J. Watt may not have come back from those and been so solid and still continue to be solid. So we got to think about that, right? That these guys are out there trying to protect themselves financially. So it's not a huge deal. Twitter Nation, calm down. It's going to be all right. And Brett Veach, we trust. My thoughts coming up here. I'm excited for the draft. I'm excited to hear what Mike is thinking as for picks. I'm hoping he has those next week on our show. So it could be interesting to see exactly what he's looking at. I listened to Binkley on 610. You know, he does his mock drafts, and he likes a couple tackles that potentially could be there around that 31 spot. So we'll have to see, guys. Again, it's going to be exciting. April 29th is the draft, and we'll have to see. I think there was a point or a question brought to Airhead Prides from Bink today on my way over here to the studio. And it was how many starters should be coming out of this draft. Because I think last year, we ended up with about 5 starters out of the whole draft, and then we couldn't ask for any more. I think because we've been hitting so much, if we have 2 starters, and those are 2 early guys, such as a lineman and maybe a defense or a linebacker, like one of those 2, I think a success on the draft and has to be behind the other picks. I'd be okay with that. So lots to see, lots to go, guys. It's only March, right? We haven't even hit the draft yet. We're still in free agency. We'll have to see. There could be some trades coming up as well as other teams look to clear out. So keep an eye out on things as we go from there. All right. So we're going to dig into this here. We're not going to touch it too long here because there's been lots of updates. So here's Sean Watson. Again, we talked about this last week because it was only down, I think it was like 1 case. 1 or 2 cases when the Buffoons and I talked about this. This is very unfortunate and has exploded and built up very quickly. So ESPN has a good article. I would go check it out there. They have a little background of what each suit is talking about. So there's 16... As of the 22nd, there has been 16 civil cases against Deshaun Watson. And I believe there's been 24 women accused him total from basically sexual assault. So that's from refusing to cover his genitals. That's to forcing oral sex, which is like, what the hell, man? I went through, I kind of read through some of them here, and yeah, it sounds pretty graphic. Now, I may not know this. I don't go to massage parlors. I feel like there should be some kind of camera evidence. Like, I don't think it's that much of a privacy boundary. I could be wrong. Again, I don't go to those places. But I feel like there should be cameras. There should be video. There'd be something, right? Ray Rice had one in the elevator, but I want, why aren't we seeing any of these evidence yet? And Tony Busby here, the attorney, the lawyer that's filing it for this women, says he's about to drop a lot of evidence. I thought it was supposed to be today, and maybe not be till this weekend, and there may be camera evidence. But here's what I want to know, Deshaun. Like, you're not making yourself look good right now. You're telling me you don't have a set personal massage person, because this is looking more and more and more or less in his favor, and very unfortunate for these ladies that had to endure all this stuff. Like, you're at 24 women, and you don't have a set massage person. You're in the NFL. You're one of the best players in the game. You just signed a big contract, and you're telling me you can't go get your own personal masseuse that covers your tracks on this? I'm sure players out there that do this, that go out and get the personal masseuse, but you're out here potentially out here doing all this stuff with multiple masseuse parlors, multiple masseuses. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So we'll have to see. I know Deshaun Watson's lawyer says they have one case where it's a total lie, total sham. Like I said last week, the only issue that I felt was that Deshaun got told to do a money solution, right, or whatever, solve the case with money, and he's like, no, I'm going to clear my name. And that's where I'm like, most players, they're going and pushing that $30,000 at you or whatever it is, right? They're going to go and pay you, and he did not. So I mean, it's that part, but at the same time, man, you got 24 women cases against. Did you really go since March 30th of last year in 2020 to all these different parlors and potentially ask about different sexual favors? Come on, man. Like, players, like, this is worse than getting a DUI when you could just call an Uber, you could have a chauffeur, you could do anything. This is really unfortunate, and as much, I'm really this is true, and maybe just a money grab, but it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for your career right now, your future. It's this many cases, so we'll have to see what when the evidence drops exactly what happened or what's going on too. Like, is it legit? Evidence? Is there video? Is there something? Because I think we need to see this. I think as a NFL fan base, to make a decision, we need to see this. It's very cautious that we do this, and as Chiefs fans, we did this a couple years ago with Tyreek Hill. We had to be very cautious, right? Because it ended up being something totally different. So my gut feeling right now is just, man, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. It's very unfortunate, and I hope these ladies here can recover. So we'll have to see. I'm curious also about the other Buffoons on what their take is going in on this. So we will have to exactly see what happens. All right, guys, we're getting towards the end here. So me and the Buffoons and I, Jason, we are heading to Tulsa, Oklahoma this weekend. We are going to go do some brewery hopping, maybe hit a casino, maybe two. Hard Rock and River Spirit are down there, or Roberts, guys, or Roberts or Spirit. So maybe maybe we drive through and give them the keep going, baby, because they play Saturday, and we'll be down there Saturday. So it's gonna be a exciting time down there, and I think the other Buffoons are looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of breweries. We're staying in walking distance of the hotel of several of those breweries, so we will be walking around. It's supposed to be 70-degree weather. You can't complain. I am perfectly okay with that. So we'll just exactly see how this turns out. A couple years ago it was nuts, so I'm excited for this. All right, guys, let's get to the end of the show here. We are going to talk a little NBA. There's tons of stuff that's been happening since over a week ago. So the Rockets, they are pursuing a trade for Victor Oladipo. Exactly where that goes, Jason and I, we were talking about Miami Heat would be a great fit. I think one team that really needs it right now is the Celtics. Boston Celtics are on actually, did they win, or are they winning again? Because they were down to the Bucks. They're not going to win. They're going to be in the 8th seed officially, and that'll be 2-6 the last 8 games. This isn't good for Boston. Boston is not looking good. It's a struggle. Halftime they're down by 21, I guess. So we'll have to see, guys. It's rough. I think Oladipo going to the Celtics would help them boost. Maybe an Aaron Gordon going to the Celtics. They need something. Then now the Nets, guys. So we did have the Nets we talk about the Nets a lot here on the Buffoons. Harden is out with a neck soreness. Irving's still out. Kevin Durant's still out. So we'll have to see how they play against the Utah Jazz, who are continuing to dominate the West. I don't know. I think the Nets, once they all come together, they could have some clash in chemistry. I think that's my fear, is for the Nets on actually winning this thing, is the chemistry between each other. Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Irving partnered with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Like, is there going to be that chemistry? Is somebody going to take over the game? Is Kevin Durant going to come back and just blow out people? James Harden's here playing at an MVP level, and the only reason he's playing at MVP level is because the other two are never there. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that happens. I don't know. I really don't have much thoughts on the Nets. They'll make the playoffs. They'll be a high seed. They'll be a 2, if not, maybe possibly a 1 by the time the playoffs hit. I know Jason really loves them, loves those guys, and he's still his favorite. That's what he talked about today. He said they're easily my favorite, with or without everybody playing at once. So, I mean, there's time to tell, right? So we still got a few more trades coming possibly through. I believe Thursday is the trade deadline, so look for that to really increase here tomorrow as stuff happens. I'm excited for that. And of course, we did have a passing away of a legend, Elgin Baylor. He did pass away. Great player for, back in the 70s here and in the 80s, and a guy that just broke barriers. Like, it's really unfortunate to hear that. So rest in paradise, man. Rest in paradise. All right, let's talk about the big news here that happened over the weekend and since last Wednesday. How about our guy LaMelo Ball going down? Oh, I can't do it. There we go. LaMelo Ball going down. Turns out, looks like he fractured his wrist. I believe he was out trying to play with it as well, and this is when it all came to play. He is getting a second opinion. I haven't seen nothing else on that. He's going to be out indefinitely for the rest of the year. It's a big blow for the, I want to say the Bobcats, Lord, for the Hornets. This is potential Rookie of the Year playoff blow for him, because the guy's been performing so well. Now, there's a chance, since it has been, late in the year, you could say, that he could still pull away with that Rookie of the Year, but it doesn't look like it. And with the Charlotte Hornets sitting at dead even 500 ball, 21-21, and the 7th seed, there's still lots of teams underneath them that could be heading that way. With Chicago Bulls and the Pacers right on the hot in the tail, with the Celtics also tanking. So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up over there. Obviously, Terry Rozier, who we talked about last week, he shouldn't be an option for a trade at all for these guys, because they need him. They need him. So it's very unfortunate to see that happen. Another big injury that happened this last week. LeBron James, guys, goes down on a hard hustle play. And it was not a dirty play, as much as everybody says it was. It's not a dirty play. Very unfortunate to see this as an MVP run as well. But what does this do for the Lakers? This hurts them very terribly. This is a heartbreaker for the Lakers right now. As I roll over here the standings, right now the Lakers are sitting at a 4 seed, 20-16. They're on a 3-game losing streak, aka since LeBron left. Kuzma is not going to do it, guys. AD is not healthy enough to come back. We were talking about the Celtics making a move. I think if one team needs a move right now, and that's going to be the Lakers. Lakers need somebody. Maybe Victor. I think more of an Aaron Gordon than a Victor Oladipo would be great. Kyle Lowry wouldn't hurt, but I don't think he's going to be worth anything, really. I think you're looking at Aaron Gordon. We have to get something else, the Lakers, to keep them relevant. Because I think, honestly, the Nuggets and the Trailblazers and the Spurs all pass them. I think they're sitting at possibly a 6 seed or to 8 seed by the time the playoffs come around. And, that's LeBron's going to be out for at least 3 to 4 weeks, possibly longer. They say his age and everything like that. The guy's always bounced back earlier than anticipated on injuries outside of his first year he was with the Lakers where he sat out. So it's pretty unfortunate for the Lakers because they were in great position. The Clippers have overtaken them. I'm still not too worried about the Clippers right now. But the Lakers are hurting. The Lakers are going to drop. Guys, Lakers could be a 7 seed going to the NBA Finals because LeBron comes back, right? So we always talk about AD, LeBron. LeBron's the key, guys. AD can wait. LeBron needs to get back ASAP, but he has to be healthy. If he's not healthy, this team's going nowhere. And it's very, very unfortunate. And, of course, with LeBron as well, we talk MVP. So my big thing on the MVP was health, right? Literally, after the All-Star break, Joel Embiid goes out. He's still sitting out. Then you had LeBron go down, right? Who was the MVP favorite? Now who? Well, James Harden, guys. James Harden could possibly be that guy that wins the MVP it's just next doorness tonight, so I'm not too worried about long term. So James Harden, who was a plus 1,600, and like Jason said last week, you could win $1,000 if you would have put it on last week, but it's a little too late now. So he could be the favorite if he continues to perform at his high dominance that he's always done. Giannis could silently be right there. We got Jokic, of course. I think it's whoever's team's finished the highest seed with the best record will win it. It's like I said, it was LeBron, it was Joel Embiid, and I think those two guys are out. I just don't think they're in the mix. I think you go down to Jokic, I think you go down to Giannis, and then of course James Harden. I think it's those three right now. Any of them have a chance, and like I argue with Jason, it shouldn't be the highest record or the best record or the highest seed, but it's going to be who has the best seed, who has the best record. We don't know. So it's pretty unfortunate to see that happen. I'm really hoping LeBron gets back quick, but I think it's going to be Jokic. I think it's James Harden that'll win it, but I'm rooting for the Mile High City there and getting that. So it's crazy. It's a crazy time, guys. So, but hey, I wrapped up the show. I don't have much more for you. I know it was a quick one without the other buffoons, so we plan to be all here next week. Maybe we can talk about maybe their event they went to today in Topeka, Blind Tiger Brewery down in Topeka, talking about the NFRF. So hopefully we got some info to there. Maybe Mike will have some players to talk about draft-wise as we inch closer to April. As that is, I believe, next Thursday, April 1st. So exciting times there. And guys, please don't forget to give us a follow. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, Amazon Music, any place, iHeartRadio. All right, we're all there, all major platforms. So my name's Tanner. We'll talk to you guys later. See you guys.